Yo, what's good, everybody? We got another Beers with Barton. It is November. Yes, November 5th, 2024. Hope everyone's having a great week. It's Tuesday. It's Election Tuesday. It's probably what this episode's going to be about. So, it is Election Tuesday. A lot of early voting all over this wonderful nation of ours. Jessica and I voted last week early. It may be the first time I've ever voted early. I can't remember. Usually I just go on election day, but we went early last week. I think it was Thursday of last week, but today's the last day. And I personally am extremely passionate about this election. I think that a lot of people are for whoever you're voting for, not just for the presidency, but for senates and governors and lieutenant governors, all that stuff, but especially the presidency. It's been a nation pretty divided. Most people pretty squarely sit in the left or the right, and whoever they vote for and what they believe in. So it's going to be interesting. We probably won't know who wins tonight because some states can't get their stuff together and count their votes. But be that as it may, it's how it's always been. But I'll probably be up late. I like watching this stuff. Been watching it most of the day. Just see where it's at, see what people are saying, see predictions are kind of fun, and we'll go from there. So, you know, I've stayed away from, people who are close to me, my family and close friends know who, how I stand for this election and who I voted for and how passionate I am and the reasons why I am. Some agree with me, some don't, and it's vice versa. But I've stayed away from posting anything on like social medias of, who I voted for or why I voted for someone or why I don't believe. And I pretty much I'm going to stick to that. I see a lot of people who have voted and have said, hey, I voted for Trump. Hey, I voted for Kamala. And it's, it's fine. That's up to them, for sure. I'm going to stay away from that for the most part because people that are voting for either side have their minds made up. You're not typically going to change someone's opinion. I remember years and years past when I was able to start voting. I think my first time I was legally allowed to vote was 2000 when I was 19. That was George Bush's first term, and I don't believe I voted. I cannot remember. I definitely voted in 2004 when I was 23. Jessica and I were just married, so I definitely remember voting in that. It was before we moved to, or 2004, I'm sorry. It was before we moved to North Carolina. And then 2008, I remember voting because we were registered here. We'd been in North Carolina for about a year. Voted 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. So I don't remember if I voted. I was 19. It was right before I met my beautiful, lovely wife in early 2021, but I don't remember voting. I definitely remember my parents' opinions typically on politics. I never really was that interested in them. I just didn't know enough about them. Growing up in California, which is typically, San Francisco, very liberal. I didn't really pay attention to stuff. I was just kind of a young, dumb kid. But I do remember in 2024, maybe being a little bit more mature and voting for the first time. So 04, 8, 12, 16, 20. So this is definitely at least my sixth time, maybe my seventh. But anyways, over the last couple elections, they've been pretty divisive, I would say for sure. 2016 when you had Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, potentially the first woman president. I know how people stood on both sides. And then last election, you had Biden, which was Barack Obama's vice president for his 8-year term and has been in politics for his whole life. And Trump again. And then this year, supposed to be Biden and Trump again. And then apparently Biden is not fit for office. So the Vice President Kamala Harris was put forward to be the Democratic nominee. How she got there, how she got votes or didn't get votes, or that's a whole nother story. But here we are, and it's about as different as you can get, between two candidates and kind of what they stand for. Usually with some candidates, you see some of these, crossing things. Venn diagrams, I think they're called, where the circles and they meet in the middle. I think that's a Venn diagram, right? You kind of see some things. it's not much with this one. It's very different. It's very very divisive. So anyways, people are going to vote the way they're going to vote. Honestly, you know, some point you got to feel you wish you had better candidates. I mean, you know, there may not be a strong field for a lot of people one way or the other. You may be voting for one side just because you dislike the other side so much, and not really because you have a passion for either one. I remember earlier in my political career, I didn't really know a lot, so I kind of leaned on what I'd heard growing up, kind of, you know, how my parents felt, and I kind of was like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't remember doing a ton of research and voting that way. And as I've gotten older, I've definitely, you know, grown into what's important to me. I have a family now. I've been married for almost 20 years. You know, I understand how the economy works because I've got, you know, money in the market. I got a retirement fund. I know how, you know, this works, and I see how which, you know, potential candidate may affect positively or negatively, you know, where I'm at in life. So as you get older, you usually tend to pay a little bit more attention. So anyways, yeah, this is definitely going to be, and obviously the Senate and the Congress have a big play of who holds majority depending on who's in office. So things may not change that much, but you definitely have how people view the U.S., how potentially we react to a lot of the wars that are going on right now, how we give out aid, what countries that we back and support. So it is important. Every election's important. This one just feels a little extra important for sure. And you got people on both sides, extreme right, extreme left. And I think, you know, Jessica and I, and that's Mrs. Beers with Barton, you know, talk a lot. There's probably the majority of people probably overlap a lot on stuff, but the ones that you hear about or watch or follow, it's extreme right or extreme left, and it tends to be candidates that kind of go to that because that's how they're getting votes. But if you probably sat down with, I'd say at least half of America, you probably find 50% of, you know, current issues we probably agree with, or at least have an understanding of the other side. It's not as extreme as I think, you know, the media makes it sound like, or some of these candidates actually present themselves as. There's probably more in the middle than we think, but it's not how politics work right now in America, and maybe never have. So hopefully everyone went out and vote. No matter who you voted for, vote. It's your civic duty. Civic, not civil, civic duty. And a lot of people have given their lives for this, and the ability for us today to go early vote, to go on election day and vote. I think Wells Fargo gave us 3 hours to go vote today. I obviously went early, but also today sounds like a couple people at work went and found some lines that weren't that long, which is good news. You're able to get in and out within an hour or so. But I think it's important, no matter who you vote for. I have my beliefs. I have who I'm voting for and why. I'm not trying to convince anybody, and I'm not going to judge anyone who votes differently than me. Not going to agree with them, obviously, and may not fully understand why. But this is the beauty of America. The America we have today, that everyone can vote how they want to. So hopefully everybody's just having good conversations. We're not judging each other. We're not yelling at each other. We're not being, you know, divisive ourselves. You know, Jessica and I tend to not talk a lot of politics because we do kind of come from different backgrounds and have a little bit different views. But as we've gotten older, we actually have realized, like I said, we actually agree on a lot of things, a ton of things. So hopefully people voted with their heart. At the end of the day, you have to sleep, you know, be able to go to sleep. You have to be able to live with yourself. So whatever that vote is, you should be making that vote. And unfortunately, again, there's very different sides on a lot of big issues here. Economy, women's rights, border security, and, you know, you're voting, you know, whatever's important to you. And I don't really blame anyone who does that, because I get it. Different people are in different stages. If you're a single male, that's, you know, blue collar, as they'd call it, you're probably not as concerned about reproductive rights. If you don't have a wife, if you don't have a daughter, not saying you shouldn't be, just saying you're probably not. If you are a mother and or just a woman in general, I don't mean that you can't, but, you know, especially mothers who have daughters, young daughters, or daughters who are that age, that's probably a huge issue to you. And maybe both sides actually probably cross on the border security more than we think. It's just been a stance for either side, you know, pro and con. So very interesting. Yeah, I just hope everyone votes. I know I did. I know Jessica did. We had very good conversations about it. Like I said, we agree with and see eye to eye on a lot more stuff than we probably did when we were younger. I think we're just more educated. We've done more research. We're also in different stages of our lives. I mean, like I said, we've been married 20 years coming up, been together almost 25. We have a teenage daughter. We live in a state that's pretty much a split state. North Carolina is kind of like, it's been back and forth. It's kind of a 50-50 state, but we feel like, you know, we get the best of both worlds here. We see it all here. That's why we love North Carolina, but just depends on where you're at in your life. Depends on what's important to you, and I can't blame anyone for voting for what they think will benefit them and or benefit, you know, America as a whole. So here we are. It's Election Tuesday. Again, we probably won't know. I think last election we didn't know until like, I don't know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't know, was the final. I can't remember exactly. It was a while. I think 2016 was a couple days. So you may have some good ideas tonight. There's going to be a lot of polls that close. Especially on the East Coast, some of these swing states, battlegrounds as they call it. So you'll start to get an idea, but you never know until you know, until they're all counted and everything's been verified. So cheers to Election Tuesday. That's the beauty of this amazing country, the best country in the world, and the democracy we have. We're able to do this. So I had one of these bad boys left, swing pineapple swing. I thought, you know, there's swing states, battleground states. So I thought it was appropriate to do a little pineapple. Do a swing pineapple swing. It's a double IPA, Sycamore. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's a 9.1. Oh my. So yeah, got a little dribble here. Go ahead and clean that up. And Michaela did not have school today because it was election, so that was nice. She had a sleepover yesterday. Had some friends over. A little bit of a late night. Didn't get much sleep because the girls were up and having fun, which is great. Jess and I did work today. So back-to-back nights of not being able to sleep. We'll see how this works out. The older I get, the less. So again, Election Tuesday. I hope you went out and vote. I hope you voted for your presidents, for your school board, for your governor, your lieutenant governor, for your water agency person, for your Senate, your House representative, whatever is out there. Hope you voted. Hope you did your research. I know, because I've done it in the past, is I voted for this president and I voted for the same party all the way down. Voted for this president, voted for the party all the way down. There's sometimes I didn't even fill in some sections. I'm like, I don't even know what this is for. I'm not going to do it. So there's definitely been times that I have voted for one party for, you know, president or senate or governor, and I voted for the other party in other sections because I tried to do research. I don't know everything, may not agree with everything, but there's definitely different parties on different things that I agree with. You just got to find that mix. So I hope everyone voted. That's the message to this. Get out there and vote. Out here on the East Coast, I'm sorry. Polls are pretty much closed. I think it's after 8 o'clock, but if you're on the West Coast, vote. If you haven't already voted early. And anyone that says it's only one vote, my vote doesn't matter. What if 80% of the population thought that way? We have 340 million people, I think, in the U.S. And every year you're seeing more and more people vote. And I think that's important. People's voices should be heard. So cheers to Election Tuesday, the greatest country in the world. Pineapple swing to the swing states. They are going to decide this election, as they always do. There's always states you just know are going to go one way or the other. It's, you know, California, New York, Delaware, Massachusetts, that are definitely blue. And then you have, you know, the Floridas and the Georgias for a while, although Barack did win barely, I think in 2012. You know, a lot of those Midwest states that go red. And then you have these battleground, these swing states, the Ohio's, the Wisconsin, the Michigans, probably the biggest one, Pennsylvania. Although I think there's something about Ohio, I think, for the last so many years, although it may have changed over the last couple elections or last one, of if you don't win Ohio, you don't win. So That's a big one as well too. But they're out there. They're going to be close. I mean, all the models out there are basically saying it's 50-50, 51-49, 52-48, and I think anything within a percentage or percentage and a half is within a margin of error. So it's pretty much 50-50. It's who's getting out there and voting. It's making sure the votes are counted correctly. It's making sure that people are getting to the polls on time. It's making sure that everything's done the way it should be, and then we'll see. I really think it's going to be close, and it's going to come down to a couple states as it usually does. So we'll see how it all pans out. I just hope everybody voted. No matter who you voted for, it's important to vote. You know, we have very open conversations in our house with Michaela about it, and you know, obviously try not to push her to believe which either way we do, just give her the information, why we think the way we do and that type of stuff. But how important is the vote, because she'll be able to vote. Let's see, 2028, which will be 4 years from now, she'll only be 17 and a half, so she'll have to wait till 2032 when she's 20. So she'll be pretty similar to what I was. She is just gonna miss one by a little bit. So anyways, cheers. Pineapple swing for the swing states, election Tuesday. America, until next time, deuces.